Hi, this is John from Horsepower Freaks. Today I'm going to show you two ways of how to test the sensor for your AEM boost gauge. First, what you'll need to do is either visit the troubleshooting section at horsepowerfreaks.com or visit AEM and print out their voltage to pressure sheet. Basically, it lets you know exactly how much voltage will pass through the sensor at what pressure. So you need to get that, and your boost sensor is either going to look like this, or it will look like this, or it will look like this. They've had a few versions and basically the same sensor. If you have either of the silver sensors, if you look on the back, there's the part number 30, 21, 30, 50, which directly corresponds with the number on the chart. And even though the brass one isn't labeled at all, it's essentially the same sensor inside. So the first way I'm going to show you how to do this is the bench test, and what you'll need to do the bench test will be a power source, your sensor removed from the vehicle, the sensor pigtail, which you can purchase just about anywhere that sells automotive aftermarket parts, a multimeter, and 2 alligator clips. So the first thing you want to do is flip on your power source without nothing hooked up to it, and make sure it's regulated to 5 volts because that's what the sensors run off of. So as you can see, we're testing other stuff, and this is 12 volts right now. So I'll dial this down to 5 volts. Alright, we have solid 5 volts. I can shut that off. Next, what you'll want to do is hook the pigtail, the plug, up to the sensor. Now this is already labeled, as you can see, A, B, and C, but it's also labeled on the plug. I'm not sure if it's going to show up on camera, but the wires are labeled A, B, and on the back side C. So go ahead and plug that into your sensor. Now what you'll want to do is take one of your alligator clips and connect the positive on your power source to wire B, which is the red wire. It's going to be the power on the sensor. You'll take the ground, the negative, hook that up to your power source, and hook that up to wire A, which is black. And then the green wire will be the sensing wire. So what we'll do is flip this on, grab your multimeter, set your multimeter to volts DC. And just a simple check, what I like to do is basically I'll just check for voltage in between the ground and the power. And since my power source is set to 5 volts, I should get spot on 5 volts. Spot on 5.045. So that's right. Now the next step would be to check in between the ground and the sensor wire and basically note your findings. So as you can see there, I get 1.68. So 1.68 volts, if I refer to my chart, 1.68 volts, it lands right in between these two blocks here. If you'll look, this block is 1.5, this block is 1.75, so 1.68 probably lies right about here. And we follow it up, it meets right at our 0 line. This line that runs across here is 0. Unless you're in extremely high or extremely low altitudes, it shouldn't veer much off of 0 at all. It should land right on 0. So now I'm going to show you how to test this sensor in the vehicle. All you'll need is multimeter and 2 paper clips bent so that they're basically little needles with handles on them. Now what you want to do is test to make sure that you have the correct voltage going into the sensor first. So what you want to do is insert one of the paper clips into the ground side, the ground wire, which is wire A, and then another needle into wire B, which is the power, which should be 5 volts. So what I'll go ahead and do is stick these in there. You might have to play with these a little while to get connectivity. So now what I'll do is turn on my power source But what you'll do is turn on your car. Just flip the key to the on position. Don't start it, but just flip it to the on position. And basically test in between A and B. You should get 5 volts. Set your multimeter to DC. And you see I have 5 volts. 5.0. Lost it there. There we go. We have 5 volts. 5.045. So that proves that we have the correct amount of voltage going to the sensor. Now what you'll do is remove the paper clip from the power wire, terminal B, and insert it into terminal C. And run the same test. No, nothing. I have to play with this a little bit to get it down in there. There we go. 1.68 volts. So we have 1.68 volts off the sensing wire. 1.68 volts, if you refer to the chart that we looked at earlier, 1.68 falls pretty much right in between this block here, 1.5, and this block here, 1.75. So pretty much right in the middle, if you follow it up, 0 pounds. That's our 0 line right there. Now remember, if you're in extremely high or extremely low altitudes, it may vary left or right slightly, but it should fall directly on the 0 line. So if you have a reading that does not fall on the 0 line, then you have a bad map sensor or bad boost gauge sensor.